Bar Weep, Grana Weep, Niddy Bong, and welcome back to my channel. And I've seen it. I went last night to watch Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and this will be my review just about that movie and my thoughts on it. A movie that really does blow through. It's just over 2 hours runtime at a breakneck speed, but because of that breakneck speed and a bit of an over-focus on filthy flesh creatures coupled with some dodgy CGI work, for me means that it was a bit of a miss, but had so much promise. We'll now go and take a bit of a deep dive on this one, completely spoiler free. Let me know your thoughts on everything down in the comments. So let me kick this one off by saying I am not, nor have I ever really been a big fan of the live action movies. All of the purely Michael Bay owned ones, really, I'd have given them less than a 5 out of 10. Even that first one, I remember my huge disappointment after watching the first one, and then for me it all went right downhill. Then Bumblebee came. First 10 minutes of Bumblebee, probably the best thing I've ever seen on the big screen, and then after that it was a passable movie. It was okay, probably the best one. This I do believe I prefer even to Bumblebee, so well done. I would give this higher marks than I gave even to Bumblebee, but this just has such big challenges, and what I want to start with is the CGI. The CGI on this is great in parts, but there are some parts of this movie where you really see the CGI, especially in the later half of the movie, where you just go, ooh, that's a bit jarring. And it is jarring. This is what I mean. So the first 10 minutes of this is an absolutely phenomenal part of the movie, and I was hooked after the first 10 minutes of this. I thought this is going to be an incredible experience. CGI on form. But then as you go through, because you have this kind of different quality between the CGI that is really good and they've spent a lot of money on, and then some that's not, it just becomes very jarring. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about here. I do not want to put any spoilers in this. You can also see parts of it in some of the trailers as well. But you can always say, oh, well, it's a trailer that I probably watched on YouTube. Maybe that's hidden because it's not as good a quality as it will be outside when I actually go watching the movie. I can tell you, the quality doesn't improve. It's not the version you're watching on YouTube. No, that is the quality of some of the CGI that we see in this. So that really did let it down for me a little bit. That CGI, transformation wise, from a CGI point of view, when the CGI quality is good, the transformations look amazing here. I really like the way that you can see all the transformations move. It looks better than all the Michael Bay ones. It looks more realistic, and you can kind of see how this part becomes here. I really appreciated the thought that seemed to have gone into the transformations on this. And now let's talk about the voice casting, and some of the voice casting here is absolutely on point, but I am going to start with some of the voice casting, especially for the beasts, because, and I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody, but some of the beasts that have been cast as voice acting don't really talk. They have 2, maybe 3 lines in the entire movie. That is bizarre, and leads me to believe something that I'll speak about later on, where I believe there is a good cut of this movie that really focuses more on the Transformers, and there's more lines. It is only a 2-hour movie. I believe there's probably a 2.5 hour to maybe even close to 3 hour cut of this that is a bit more interesting. But yeah, some of the beasts just don't really talk. They have hardly any lines. I don't know why they bothered recruiting any kind of voice casting for this at all. Peter Cullen, as always, smashes it out of the park, but again, the take that they have on Prime here is not the most inspirational Prime that we've ever seen. He is more of the kind of a aggressive, kill everything Optimus Prime. So yeah, but he has some good lines, and I'd say it's good. As always, Peter Cullen just smashes it out of the park when it comes to voice acting of Optimus Prime. And I also like Ron Perlman's take on Primal. I really like, as soon as I know he's voiced Primal in the past and maybe people didn't really like that take on him, I absolutely love it. I actually think that the voices between Cullen and Perlman really go well together as the two different takes on Prime, and they have a little bit of a different outlook as well, whereas Prime's a little bit more aggressive, and even with Ron Perlman's still quite gravelly voice, he has quite a nice somber, soothing tone to it versus Cullen's more type stuff, and I really appreciated it, and I love it. Even Pete Davidson actually was not as irritating as I thought he was going to be. He won me over as Jazz. Still calling him Jazz, but for those of you who don't watch this channel, yes, he won me over as Mirage. A few little G1 references in there, not gonna spoil anything, but yeah, he won me over in the end. Wheeljack, on the other hand, can get in the bin. Absolutely diabolical. Just you've got to see it to believe it, but really not feeling Wheeljack in this movie. RC, brilliant. I thought that was a really good take on RC, and the same with Michelle Yeoh for Airazor. Now we move over to the bad guys. Unicron, great. Really appreciated that take on Unicron. Really liked the voice. But Peter Dinklage? What did they give him? Was he on Rohypnol while he was doing this? This is the most phoned in kind of just terrible stuff. He kind of must have listened to, oh, that's what Megatron sounds like, a little bit flat, a little bit like this. He doesn't sound very interesting. It's cookie cutter. It's really not great. In fact, none of the bad guys, I guess, the Terracons, really sold me on their performance. Unicron's performance, though, was great. But I will say here, when it comes to voice acting, and it kind of blends the voice acting and the CGI together, why the focus on Transformers having lips? Why? Again, a massive focus here on Transformers having lips. Even, and again, I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody because it's just the way somebody's mouth is moving. When I saw the figures of Nightbird, I did think that Nightbird was going to have no lips, you know, like the ninja that they're supposed to be, so they have that face cover, or like a bird, so they have a beak type thing. But no, even Nightbird has lips. Every bot in this damn movie has lips, and for some it's okay, for others, please stop giving them CGI lips. Overall, yeah, the voice acting is passable, but yeah, Peter Dinklage really phoned it in, and Pete Davidson, so Pete versus Pete Davidson actually won me over here more than I thought he was going to. Well done, Pete Davidson. Now for the bit that really does let the movie down. I'll go a little bit into the story after this piece, but the whole story really does revolve yet again around the flesh creatures. We spend more time learning about the flesh creatures and where they live and how good Brooklyn and New York is, even though they're in Peru for parts of the movie. Bizarre. Really does revolve around them, their backstories, and the focus yet again is on the humans, on the flesh creatures. I don't need to see this. I'm going there to watch Transformers battle. Everything in this story revolves around them, their point of view on this, and we never really yet again get the Transformers part of this. We get hints. We get hints at some really interesting subplots, really interesting, and I think if you've been following along with this, you know that some really interesting leaks came out about Scourge and about Unicron and about all of these kind of things. We know this is point 1 of 3 movies. Apparently there's going to be a trilogy, but they never focus in on these interesting subplots about the robots. We get these subplots and plots and plots on top of plots against the humans. I'm not there to watch the humans. If I want to watch the humans and things like that, I'll go and watch a movie about the humans. I'm here to watch massive bots do battle. Give me massive bots doing battle and tell me the stories about them, not the flesh creatures. Yeesh. And this is where I truly believe there is a different cut of this movie. Like I said before, there are real hints as they go through this at fantastic, amazing subplots that get kind of mentioned, and maybe they will follow up. We know this is a part of a sequel. Maybe they'll follow up in 2 or 3, but I believe somewhere we'll find a better cut of this. Maybe a director's cut will come out at some point where there's an extra 30 to 40 minutes that focus in squarely on the bots and less on the humans, and make this a better movie for Transformers fans, because we learn more about the Transformers rather than about the humans. Music wise, it's set in the 90s, it's full of 90s hip hop, it has Wu-Tang, it has everything in there, it's got a little bit of Nas, it's got an amazing soundtrack, and I think that the soundtrack and the hip hop is used really to great effect as we go through the movie. Opens up with some Wu-Tang and then goes into some other joints as we go through. I absolutely adored it, love the music that they use in this. I'm a kid that grew up with 90s hip hop, 90s metal and early 2000s, so yeah, this was all for me. Absolutely adored the soundtrack, and like I say, used to great effect as they go through the movie. So overall, where do I score this movie? Overall, I scored this movie probably about a 6 out of 10, in all honesty. I believe in there is a great movie desperately trying to claw its way out, but there is just too much flesh and flesh creatures over the top holding this movie down. I would have given this, had it focused more, I'd have probably given this about an 8 to an 8.5, because when they are talking about the robots and when they do have the battles, if you can ignore some of the dodgy CGI, I really loved it. Like I've said, even from the trailers, it gave me almost like a bit of a Marvel type battle thing going on there, and I really appreciated it. I loved it. Really thought that when they focused on the bots, it was good, but every single point that they've lost on this from me is because of this focus yet again on the flesh creatures and their stories. But let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments, and also, why is it in the UK that we're not getting any of these really cool popcorn holders or drinks holders or anything? I went to View Cinema and nothing, absolutely nothing on show for me. I was hoping to come away with some Transformers merch and I got nothing. I got a Tango Ice Blast cup that wasn't even Transformers related. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Alright team, in a bit. Peace.